Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this video quantum conversation. I am so pleased to present this conversation with you because it is about something that runs so deeply in the programs of humanity, of all of our existence. And today we are talking with a personal coach, a very powerful personal coach who works with clients in programs and training systems and personal sessions to really allow you to break through into the greatness that you are. Lisha Antiqua is here with us today on this quantum conversation, and we're going to get right into it. Lisha, thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Lauren. I so appreciate it. It's great to be here. And hi, everybody.
It's lovely to be here with you. I'm so glad that we can be in this space because this topic is so emotional, and yet there's trauma with it too. And that is the topic of our show, healing the money trauma. This actually will rule our life if we do not come face to face with it. So let's talk about you and how you awakened into your mastery and have identified 6 power zones, 7 power zones really, but we're going to talk about 6 of them, things that we must deal with. We must align ourselves with the soul, and these are things that kind of need to be looked at on that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I'm actually really jealous of the awakening experiences of so many of my friends and colleagues because I didn't get one. I was born awake. I've had memories my entire life. I've seen my entire life. I've gone through periods of asleep where I chose to shut off my resources, shut off my inner knowing, shut off my sight. But when I was really young, I very much was talking about previous times incarnate and how I was living in the present. And I came here with the mission to end the cycle of abuse. And I'm talking about the inner abuse of families and the interconnectedness, and also the inner abuse of self and how we process and look at trauma. And therefore, unfortunately, I got to experience everything or a lot of things, maybe not everything, and I don't want to experience anymore, but a lot of things that people all go through when it comes to trauma. So my journey really began with coming into a family where sexual abuse was accepted. And I don't know about accepted, but it was the reality of the situation. And I experienced that growing up, and the physical abuse of being abused, and then the emotional abuse later in life. And that broke down into my own personal reincarnation of abuse and how that looks in life. And how do I love myself? How do I lean into that pleasure? How do I heal? And my healing really began at 21. I got cancer. So at 21, I got cancer, and I really went on a journey to heal through natural medicine, through the quantum conversation that we're having right now. How do you reestablish yourself with creation? And that's what happened. So I had cervical cancer, and I healed my bulimia. I healed my cervical cancer. I did a lot of energy work. I learned about Reiki. I learned about emotional intelligence. I learned about mindset and visualization and the power of our mind. I learned about the power of food and awareness. I became a nutritionalist, a yoga teacher on this journey. then a mindset coach, then an emotional intelligence leader and teacher, and soul healings and all of that came into play. And through all of that, I had this intuitive, like psychic awareness that was very prevalent and very awake. And I didn't know what to do with it. I thought that realm of my existence, which is really where money trauma lies. So we're going to get there. That's why I'm going here. Is this realm of existence where we create from, we think is like spirituality. We think is our enlightened state of being. We think is this special skills, right? This psychic ability, this intuition, the ability to see beyond the physical, to see ghosts or angels or spirits. And that's just not the case. Like, it's just our etheric realm, just like our brain is our brain, and our emotions are our emotional body, and our physical body is our physical body. This is literally just our human body, the etheric realm. And I call it the sensory realm, the sensor realm. And so how do we manage the sensor realm? Because that's where the money, the worth trauma sticks, I'm finding, as I heal through my own journey of worth and abundance and receptivity and manifestation. So I don't know if that like tells you everything I'm coming from and how I'm learning about the 6 personal power zones. But for me, I literally died. Sometimes like actual, like really close to death, like hospitalized. Other times just emotional shutdown, where you're at that total plane of like total failure and like you don't even have the energy to die. And I got to walk through the trauma of each power zone and heal it. Therefore, I can empathize and relate to people that are at each stage and meet them where they are. And that's what makes me a master coach. That's why I have the program to train coaches, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. And so you were born awake, and yet that experience with the abuse that you chose to go through in this lifetime, that was actually another part of your awakening, that wake up call to actually turn it. So you mentioned the reincarnation of abuse, and then the health issue, the cancer, life-threatening for you at such a young, tender age as you're becoming a person, you're becoming your own self. When you look at that, what did you discover about how that mindset created that health issue for you? Were you able to resolve that?
Yeah. Well, cancer is a stuckness. It's eating away at self, right? So there wasn't a part of me that wanted to hang out with me. There wasn't a part of me that wanted to just be quiet. When I did yoga at that time, like it was Ashtanga, it was like power yoga.
Athletic.
It was athletic yoga. To do a slow Iyengar class, which was actually my first training, but it was hell. It was hell on earth. I didn't want to be in my head. I didn't want to be in my body. I didn't want to deal with any of this. For me, my place of comfort isn't like going out and doing crazy things with my physical body. My place of comfort is hanging out in the ethers, like chilling out with God, right? My spiritual body is my power body. So what happens is that's not how we work on earth. That's not how we work on earth. We are here to be both in body and in spirit, right? We're here to create this beautiful paradigm of polarity. So we have the physical body and we have the spiritual body, and we're here to live in that heart zone of balance between the two. And for me, I was up here. So cancer and all of my physical abuse and my sexual abuse was trying to get me to focus on my physicality. Right?
And that is the root chakra there too.
Right. So it's the root chakra, the second chakra, the third chakra, right? all of this up here, all your lymph system. So it's your manifesting, your family, your genetic line. It's your roots into the world. It's also your roots into your core beliefs. It's that root into value. It's the root into your family's belief system around money, right? Around abundance. And then it's how can you create from that? So if you don't have that connection, it is really hard to create anything. So for me, my creative zone at the age of 21 was toast. It's not that I didn't have the awareness. I didn't know how to embody who I was because I didn't want to be in flesh. I don't know if any of your audience can relate or you can relate, but I didn't want to be in flesh. I know other people are the opposite of me. They don't want to be they don't want to be in spirit, right? So this goes both ways. We get imbalanced in both areas. But for me at this time, I didn't want to be in body. So I developed the cancer. And the cancer was me eating away at myself. Other things played into the cancer. I got it from a hormone that I stuck in my arm. So life fed into it. I needed to learn how to eat. I have celiac disease and didn't realize it. And so I was eating gluten, and that was deadly for me emotionally and physically. So there was things that I was required to learn that cancer taught me. So cancer in a lot of ways saved my life. And before I had cancer, I couldn't have kids. And after I had two. So it truly did save my life. But when you just look at that event, when you're in the health crisis, right? When you're in that worth health crisis, if you're here right now, it's like, I'm out, like I'm dying. The biggest thing that I learned from cancer, the biggest decision I made, and I made it the day that I found out. I was a big biker at the time, and I jumped on my road bike or mountain bike, one of them, and I just took off, and I rode about 100 miles that day, and just around and around and around, just thinking. And I was like, you know what? I am not ever going to do what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not ever going to submit to a life of purposelessness. And in the end, come full circle, this last year, I went through a tremendously surrendering moment where that decision nearly took my life, because it wasn't worth going into seeking money, right? So this goes back to the worth, seeking money just to survive.
Yeah.
Because my purpose here was to serve, to love people, to share what I have to share my gifts. And that I decided with the cancer. And when that wasn't available to me for a moment, and I thought that I was going to have to go and get like a little job that wasn't doing what I love, I equally flipped out into this etheric realm. And I learned the lesson of, it's not about controlling that outcome. It's about owning your worth and vibration in that outcome and embodying it from the outside in. Yes, on a soul level, but the soul does this really easily. Not that our soul isn't evolving, but our soul does this more easily. The soul is the worth. The soul is the love. So it's not about tapping into that. It's allowing the soul, that connection to self, to radiate out into that etheric field and choose how you're going to develop that etheric field. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I love that so much. I really do. It's beautiful. It is when nothing else could be more important than this. Nothing else is more important than radiating our soul's light. And here in this third dimension, in this physical form, that's a challenge that we face. And so that money piece has an energy behind it that if we are programmed and experiencing traumatic situations from it, then it really does dictate. And I know that we talk about this a lot on this program, is the energetic relationship that we have with money. And some choose not to even call it money. We call it currency because that's what it is. It needs to flow. It needs to come in, and it supports us as we do this work of passion and service that so many are feeling this call to step into. So I love what you say, and I love your experience. And I just want to reiterate what you said there. Owning your worth and your vibration, that is actually huge. And so we're creating from there. And I love that. And I love that. So talk a little bit more about this journey of healing the trauma with money then.
Yeah. So money is very interesting because I see two different paradigms. I see this absolute fear of loving money.
Yes.
Fear of connecting with money, fear of even getting into the vibration of money, because we don't want to worship money, especially as spiritual beings.
Right.
We don't want money to be the end all be all. And so that's a belief system. That's literally a mindset and a belief system. When in fact, like, money feeds me. Money gives me play. Money lets me travel so I can speak.
Yes.
Money allows me to give stuff away. Money allows me to afford time to be here with you right now. Money allows me to accept the jobs that I want to accept, right? Money allows me to do extra trainings and hire coaches and do amazing things to grow and better myself so I can more embody my own worth and value so I can serve humanity in a bigger light, right? So money does all of these things. When you're broke, when you are poor, you're pouring yourself out. You have nothing left to give. So you're either broke, meaning that there's something inside of you that isn't aligning. Maybe it's physical health. Maybe it's mental health. Maybe it's emotional health. Maybe it's esoteric health, right? Or maybe it's just a total disconnect from trauma with your soul. So many of my clients, when we go through trauma, we disembody. So there's two different ways to disembody, which I alluded to earlier. One is we naturally rise up kind of above our body, and then we're looking down. So if your memories are like peripheral, you're kind of overseeing the event, right? And you're looking down at it, then most likely your power zone, your like strength is in your etheric realm, in your intuitive realm. And so you kind of rise above your body a little bit, you have that string attached, and you're like, you're out here, but you can't run the show from outside your house. It's like standing outside of your door and you're there, like you have the key in, but you haven't turned the key, and you don't really want to walk inside because it's like a dirty mess you fear, right? So you're standing there looking at the mess going, I don't want to go in, right? And you get comfortable out there. You might even make a little house out there, but the soul isn't inside, and you still, all of the runnings of your house is still happening inside the house, unfortunately, because we're here in the 3D. So the other way that it happens is you sink down and everything gets heavy. And for these clients, it's like they're looking at everything kind of from underneath it all. It's like this like, yeah, it happened. It's like, it's a flat line. And these people don't kind of get really esoteric, right? They don't go woo woo. They're not really meditators and stuff like that. They're very like practical, and they're usually really in tune with their body. They can do some amazing stuff physically, and they can usually manifest physical stuff pretty easily, easier than the esoteric people. The esoteric people can manifest anything else, right? Like miracles happen left and right when they're aligned, but they're not embodied. So when you're embodied out of the trauma and you're actually in your heart center, that's when you can, manifest and create. Does that make sense? So the physical people create really good. The esoteric people might manifest really good, but they can't create.
Yes, I get that.
You get that? Yeah. So depending on your trauma and where your soul went.
Yes.
So your soul is different than your esoteric body or your sensory body. that most people think is spiritual but it's not. And why we know it's not is because there's black and white. There's demons and there's angels, right? There's black and white. There's good and bad still in that realm. It's still third dimension. Might be fourth dimensional because we can't put our hand into it. But it's not fifth dimensional. It's not 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, right? Yeah. It's still here. It's still right outside of your body. And so how do you manage that system in order to bring yourself into this place where you can both create from a place of consciousness and awareness and create physical manifestations of something and manifest that spiritual awareness of miracles and ahas? So there's a surrender to the holy within you, and there's an ownership of creation. Does that make sense?
Yes. The surrender and the ownership. That is huge.
Yeah. You have to have both in order to manifest that money. So money trauma, long story short. So money trauma happens when anything that is of our worth is questioned. So for me, my worth growing up was very physical and sexual. It was like, I told my coach the other day, like, it's just as a piece of meat, right? I felt like a piece of meat. I remember leaving college and being like all that, my only value is in there. I wrote a book, I think it was Holistic Fashionista. She has a great book, Angel Quintana. And I was in her book and I wrote about my worth isn't between my legs. It was a huge breakthrough. So if you've gone through sexual trauma, you might, especially at a young age, you might be programmed that your worth is in your physicality. If you've gone through maybe not sexual trauma, but you were like, oh, she's so pretty. Oh, she's so good. Oh, he's so smart. Then your worth is in that. So what if something happens and you get a brain injury? You can't manifest. If your worth is in your smart and you get a brain injury, well, you can't manifest anymore, right? It's over. If your worth is in your sexuality and you want to build sexuality up and lean into that pleasure and have a healthy sex life, you're screwed. You can't manifest from there anymore. So how do you shift that? The first thing is to look back at those patterns. And we were talking before the show and we talked about, I had this shirt that when I was about 7 or 8, I got a whole bunch of things, really. I got this ET shirt. I got that Simon Says game, right? Where you push.
Oh, yes. Simon. Simon.
Right?
Yes.
Simon. Yeah. And I got a couple other things. Well, I had to take all of those things and give them to my cousins.
Why?
Because they were less off than me.
Okay.
So all the gifts that my biological father sent me, I had to take up and give to my stepdad's family. So I wasn't selfish.
Did the stepdad make you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. And, that's another energy right there.
That's another energy, right? So my gifts weren't enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that again because I need to hear it when I listen to the replay. My gifts weren't enough. I'm going to have a breakthrough with all of you guys right now.
And all of us are doing it with you too. Yeah, we're right with you.
Like talking about this, but this is all making sense to me. So
yes,
my gifts that I got, they were mine.
Yes.
And so
from your birth dad.
Right.
A very special relationship.
Yes. And so I had to give that provision, right? My dad's safety, my birth dad's provision, who is my safe place to today. I had to give it away. Now I have bought my Simon game and I have my ET shirt, right?
As an adult?
On the regular, as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That was part of this money story healing for me, is reclaiming the gifts that I was forced to give away.
Yes.
So we need to look at those money traumas and look at where we're giving our gifts away. For me, I give my gifts away. And it's about receiving those gifts. And that day, is when that pattern started, because I just told you.
Yes. And so that experience actually made you feel as if you had no gifts. You have to give them away. You were not worthy of those gifts. And so you had to give them away. And so that creates these patterns through life that eventually, when you were 21, came to a physical issue that you had to overcome, that actually, you said earlier, saved your life. It's quite interesting. And so when we see these patterns, it's up to us to disengage them, to dismantle them, to dissolve them. We were talking earlier too. I had a similar experience. I have a stepfather. Actually, I knew since I was 3. And so I didn't know my birth dad until I was in my 20s. And then I was able to have a good relationship with him. But it was very interesting because as an alcoholic that he was, all the money went into bourbon. And so when I was 7 or 8 years old as well. That's a very critical age for young girls and boys, because as a human, that's where we know who we are before the programming of adolescence comes in, caring about what other people think. Those programs are huge after those years of 7 or 8. So as a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old, I was with my mom and we went to Kinney shoe store and we bought these rainbow sandals. And I was so happy to have these rainbow sandals. And I wore them home and my dad got really angry and told my mom and me to take them back to the store. And I was like, no, we can't, because I've already worn them outside. You can't take shoes back when you wear them outside. But we had to take them back. And that for me was really a critical moment. It seems so minor. As parents, it seems like such a minor thing, but the programming that went into that was huge. And then eventually, about 5 years ago, I got those rainbow sandals in my subconscious and I looked at them and I realized, wow, this is a huge moment because I have my rainbow sandals now. And I share this because it seems so minor and so petty, but it actually was very huge.
Yes.
And I have traced it back to a core wound for me. And for me, that was acknowledgement, right? For you, it was worthy of your gifts. But for me, it's a core wound of acknowledgement of I wasn't seen enough. I didn't deserve those shoes. So this is really what we're talking about here, and the trauma and the patterns that it creates all through our life.
Yeah, because our minds are creating our reality. We live in a holographic universe, right? So if your mind created a reality when you were little, and I create all these gifts, right? And I receive all these gifts from God, from universe, and I download them into these programs, right?
Yes.
And I create the videos and I create all this stuff and I'm creating books and everything. But the gifts I don't get. I have to give them away. And when that giving away or selling or anything doesn't happen for me, then my little girl is triggered, right? Because it's a repeat of I got all these gifts from my dad. This is my heavenly father, right? I get all these gifts from my dad and then I have to give them away. And if I don't get to give them away and get anything back for them, it's done. But I don't get anything back for them when I give them away. I just have to give them.
Mm-hmm.
There was no good feeling. Like there wasn't a gift from my heart, right? There was like this pain and this fear of being a quote unquote Indian giver. And I say that because my dad's Oglala and he's Sioux and I'm a honky and I wasn't allowed to be an Indian giver. It was really bad, like really bad for my little 7-year-old to act this way.
To give something and then give it back.
Expect
it back.
Expect that payment, right?
Yes.
Expect the money to come back. Expect the blessings to come back, to expect the miracles to come back. That was bad. You're not supposed to accept anything back. You're just supposed to give. And this is the paradigm that we get into of of that inner child programming. So the first thing to do is to look at what programs, what stories do you have? Where was that money trauma? It might be your parents fighting about money, right?
Yeah.
It might be, my parents went through bankruptcy when I was 12. And so that was a big deal. We lost the horses, the house, like everything, right? That was a big deal. And what do we do? So I looked at all these little issues that is like, I wonder if that has anything to do with me. Just with curiosity, just look at yourself with some curiosity. There's no wrong with it. And look at your pattern. What are you creating? How are you creating your wealth? And how is that wealth being received into your life? And then how are you manifesting things in your life? How is that manifesting bucket happening? And how are you able to receive from that? The next piece is, it's also the masculine and the feminine, right? Your alignment with your masculine and feminine have to align. So the masculine is that creative action, creation, building, right? We're going to build the house. We're going to build this, and it's going to be fantastic. The feminine part of it is the miracles and the manifestation, the flow of it, and how you can do that. So one is that giving and receiving. So look at, is it easier for you to give or easier for you to receive? And balance that out too.
Yeah. Well, I would say that most people who are going through issues like this are not open to receiving as much, that we tend to overgive or care more about other people or making other people happy. So that's part of the program. So what can you say for opening up to receive? What does that feel and look like?
It looks many different ways to many different people, right? Because you are unique. You're absolutely unique. And so you have to ask yourself that question first and foremost, like, how do you receive? But here's like a ticket. When I say you're amazing,
Yes.
You have so many gifts to offer the world. You have a purpose here. Breathe into your body. Can you receive that breath? So a couple telltale signs. One, is your breath shallow? Or can you breathe deep into your womb space? If not, practice breathing deep into your womb space. That's something you can do right now to receive your life. Two, how do you receive compliments from somebody? How do you receive that celebration from somebody? Because that's, if you're uncomfortable there, then that payment coming back to you from your gifts, when you get that gift, that receptivity coming back to you isn't going to be able to flow back to you as easily. The other thing is, can you stand in the mirror and say, I love you, you're worth my time? Can you stand in the mirror and look yourself in the eyes and just be like, I think you friggin' rock today. You really did a good job today. Hey, you really handled that well, or you really impressed me. Can you allow yourself that much value? Because when we can allow ourselves that value, when you allow that self value for yourself, then you can receive it from other people a little bit easier. Right?
That's a good
Without
one.
reflecting. Oh, this
Yes.
old dress, right? We all, oh, this old thing.
Or I got them at Macy's or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying thank you, I know that that is common for, I'd say, the majority of us do not know how to receive a compliment like that.
So that would be where to start.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be where to start. And check yourself. Like, am I able to receive this compliment? Right? So for me, that was a huge process, leaning into the pleasure of it all. The next piece is, what are you creating? What do you want to create? What is valuable to you? So say that you have a job and you go into that work. Are you valuing your efforts at the job? Are you proud of how you show up in the job? It doesn't really matter how much money you're making, but is that job fulfilling you? This is what cancer taught me. So when I was in December, I was like, I'm not doing anything else with this life. I don't care where you place me, Lord, but I'm not doing anything else with this life than what you have trained me to do. Period. And I need to pay my fucking bills. Excuse my language.
That's all right. It's true.
So it's true, right? And I'm not here to suffer. I'm not here to suffer. So I have all these gifts and I've grown through all my programs, right? I've received the gifts and I've grown through all of my programs, healed tremendously through all 6 of my personal power zones, owning my own stuff, healing my own stuff, finding that alignment, living soul forward. And yet that full circle of receiving hadn't happened yet. So I laid down the law and I was like, I don't care. And the beautiful thing is as a trauma therapist, like I got a job in a clinic that I never would have thought I would be working with the clientele day in and day out that I'm working with, but I got a job, right? Working in my field, doing what I love, and it's fulfilling. It's amazing. Didn't look anything like I thought it would, right? Because now my primary coaching and everything is secondary, but it is for the time being, like, this is going to teach me how to build Medicaid. Right? Like, yeah. This is going to teach me how to run the nonprofit, right? Which is super important and valid.
A little lesson. Yes.
Right? So you have to be open to look outside of your own limitations, your own box when it comes to receiving wealth, while really standing that creation ground of, this is what I'm here to do. So if you have a soul calling and you know, this is what I'm here to do, look at those openings. Who am I listening to right now? What is my next step? How am I going to be fed into it? And allow everything that you're getting, everything that you're receiving to truly land and receive those gifts that you're getting from each and every person. That all of that is wealth frequency. All of that is manifesting frequency. All of that is abundance. And as you said, what word did you use? Currency.
Currency.
Yeah, is currency.
And I like abundance too, because that takes it outside of currency into relationships, connections, opportunities. They can come in a myriad of forms.
Yeah. So it might not just be cash.
Yes.
So practice that receiving. I have a manifesting jar. Okay. And so every day I write down, like, what did I manifest?
Nice.
This quantum conversation is going to be there. I manifested this quantum conversation and I got a huge breakthrough. That I get my gifts for a second, but then I get to give them away. And when I give them away, I don't get anything back. Wait a minute. Who made that agreement? So what do? You take that moment and you just sit with that little you that was like, okay, this is how life is. And I'm not going to be an Indian giver, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to do that. And go, wow, you've really missed out on receiving so much ease. So many gifts that people want to give you, because isn't it wonderful to give somebody something and they receive it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Isn't that like the biggest gift ever? When we receive from somebody, that person gets the gift of giving. It has to go like this, right? So when I receive that paycheck, when I receive the income from my courses, when I receive the donations from a program, when I receive all of that, that person that is owning their own value by purchasing that person that is owning their own time and their own purpose by purchasing that, is gifting me that value. Right? Not only inviting me to spend that time with them and pour into them from my gifts and my awareness and allowing me to give to them, but they're also gifting me that miracle. And I get to receive that. Right. But this little girl was like, So little boy, little girl in you might be like, So look at that and be like, I'm going to receive my slippers. I'm going to receive my rainbow sandals fully and completely, because I accept my value. I accept being seen. I accept my worthiness. I'm acceptable. Okay. And anything that doesn't agree with this new belief of my gifts are received and I am gifted back tenfold from them, which is universal law, right? That tenfold gift receive thing. then I'm gifted back that tenfold, claiming that tenfold for all that we have given. That agreement right there blocks that.
Yes.
Right. So how do you unblock it? You just simply release that agreement. You replace your programmed mind. You dissolve and resolve and transform and transmute and transcend that on each level. And just speak that into it and say to that little girl, little boy inside of you, like, it is okay. It is okay not to be an Indian giver. You know what? Your cousins friggin' loved those gifts. Last year, you were reading about how grandma played that piano, and that was one of your cousin's biggest memories, right? Is grandma playing that piano. So it's okay that you gave grandma your piano, right? That meant so much to your mom's heart. And you guys never got a piano again, right? That's a trauma, right?
That's a trauma.
But we can shift. We can shift that. We can shift it. And that's our responsibility to do.
Mm-hmm. That's our responsibility to do, to take a look deep within ourselves, to those programs, to those experiences that were really just a perception point, that what you're saying now is to go above that and to look at all of it from a larger perspective of how other people's were affected by it. But at the same time, taking care of that trauma that you witnessed and that set up those belief systems so deeply.
Yeah.
And so that's beautiful. I really love it because you're laying down the law and we're receiving. And so we're shifting the energy here too. So let's talk a little bit about shifting the energy of money, because I know that many healers and people in a spiritual world, whether it's being in service on spiritual coaching or healing or other service areas in this realm, there's this sense of value, like or a belief system. It's I don't want to charge for my services. I want to give this away for free, or spirit gets angry if you charge money for it. Again, what you're saying is that these are all belief systems around an earlier trauma. Yeah. And so what we do is actually, when we're shifting this, we shift the energetics. So we're no longer, maybe you want to talk a little bit about no longer doing things for the money. Like, we're in this 21st century here. The dynamics are totally different. When we're in service, we're doing it from that soul perspective, like nothing else matters more. Yeah. And we're not creating so we can make money from it, right? In the 20th century, everything is like, what do I do? What am I going to create in a business? Young kids going to college. I hear this all the time. I want to do this career because of the money, or I'm not going to be a dive master because there's no money in it. I'm going to be an orthopedic surgeon. Right. But where is the heart? The dive master is the
heart
expression.
Isn't up there.
The heart is
the heart isn't up here pretending like we're not human and we don't have to live in this 3D world. The heart isn't up here. So I'm going to tackle this a completely different way, and I hope that you don't mind. But Please this is one of my big faux pas, right?
Yes.
Because yes, there's the spiritual realm, and it is so unhealthy. It is so unhealthy. We think that we are so above it all, and we literally are above it all. We are seeing from a soul perspective, and we don't want to be on this planet, and we don't want to play with physical things, including the currency of money, including the currency of receptivity, including orgasm, including pleasure, including great vacations, including resorts, including fantastic dinners, including being spoiled, including the cars and the clothes, because we're above it, right?
Yes.
We're above those people that are so low.
But we're still here on planet Earth.
Or are we?
Or we're not embodied.
We're not embodied. And you know what? Here's the deal. This is what I've learned. And no, maybe it's taken me, 99 times came up first, but it could be more like 1,500.
Yes.
But it's taken me a long time to come here. And like I said, I came awake. And here's the deal. If you don't come to Earth, you're not going to graduate.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how friggin' spiritual you are. We're not here to be heaven above Earth. We're here to be heaven on Earth. So yes, energetically, we're floating above our bodies. And energetically, it's easy to manifest those miracles, right? And yeah, we can look at people that manifest the cars and the houses and everything like we're better than them because we don't want to work for money. And we can have this whole conversation about how money is bad and wrong. But the fact is, we still have to go to the store, buy food, and eat. And the store isn't going to accept some energy exchange necessarily.
Reiki. They take Reiki now, like Bitcoin.
Like Bitcoin, right? Even Bitcoin doesn't accept Bitcoin, right? So the deal is, for my spiritual brothers and sisters, my soul family, truly, truly my soul family, I encourage you to try Earth on. We are here to embody self. And that means physically taking care of your physical body, which means beautiful clothes that make you feel amazing, which means if you want to live in a tree house or you want to be homeless and that's what makes you feel awesome, then go for it. Seriously. Like, I know people that like that's their lifestyle. I live in Alaska, right? Yeah. Like the homestead lifestyle, no running water, outhouse. Like, I have yoga students that live that way.
Off the grid. Yeah.
Off the grid. Love it. That's their calling. Own it, right? Own it, own it, own it. There's no wrong. The people that are masterfully doing this, there's no wrong. Now, equally said, there are people that are all about money, right? They're all about creation, bust it out, get the money, blah, 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 right? And there is an ownership of Earth from them because it can manifest on the physical plane so easily. But they too are going to have to come back to Earth School. I have Huron University because it's literally I know I'm in Earth School. Like I got to pass this test. I have to finish this mission. This is my third round on this same mission to end the cycle of abuse.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I pretty much remember each element of each time I was here quickly because I had to return quickly. So what happens is you're just going to come back. You might go through a faster learning experience. My abuse happened more intense. Things happened more intense. Like you got to get it done. So you're going to go through hell the first 10 years since you can't do it when I gave you the easy assignment. You would all disembody and spiritually bypass everything. Yeah. So if you're spiritually bypassing money from this story, this belief system that you don't need money, that money is bad, that you are over money, that money has any opinion of its own, that it's bad or good, you want to check that out. Because your purpose is to create heaven on earth, which means getting into the body and masterfully learning. I am in school to learn how to not only manifest those miracles and that energetic stuff, but manifest from things I physically create. These programs I physically create, hours, years, months, everything, physically creating these programs and books. And from that creation, manifest something. Let that leave a legacy on the planet for other humans to learn how to do their human journey, because we're learning how to be human. It's both ways. So living in the heart, to me, my opinion is living in the heart isn't spiritually bypassing. Living in the heart isn't pretending like we can manifest. Even the master manifestors that can just manifest like miracles like this and money and everything that they need just come to them. That's fantastic. And there are some light workers, some grid workers, some people here that are doing that work because the planet is going through its own quantum shift and they're literally working for the planet. But if you're working for humanity, you got a different mission. And if you're trying to do it by spiritually bypassing, then no, because humanity is here to be human.
Okay. Well, a great shaman in Peru shared with me the secret is to balance the material and the spiritual.
Boom.
And when you're talking about this heart center, and we have 3 chakras below, in the physical body, we have 3 chakras below the heart and 3 chakras above. The heart is that center place. And so if we're here to bring heaven on earth, that is the key. The key is to do it with that blend of material and spiritual. So what a beautiful conversation. Go ahead.
Figure out what you love in the physical, right? So I love rocks. So I surround myself with rocks. I love soft clothing. Yeah. I love soft clothing, right? I like that. Like, what do you like in the physical? What do you like to eat? What textures? I'm a total texture girl. Like, I like whipped cream. I love whipped cream. What physical stuff do you love? What do you love about money? Right? Money allowed me this weekend to go skiing with my kids.
Nice.
Money allows me to pay my taxes. Money allows me to bless other people's lives because they're going to fully receive my gifts by paying me for them. Right? That's them saying, I love you. Thank you. I want you. I believe in you. I want to experience and grow into me. And so, like, living this balance, living this wholeness is what everything I do is about. Discovering your own university within you, your own universe, your own mission at school, at Earth School. And how are you here to embody yourself so you can then add to that service? And you get validation by receiving. Yeah, it happened. Yeah, right? Yeah. And your shaman was right. I agree, 110%. And every spiritual teaching that I've ever studied, which I'm getting my doctorate in spiritual psychology right now because it's super important. I love religion. The bottom line is like, heaven is within, right? Kingdom is right here.
Yeah.
Go right here. And so notice, it's not bad or good to over manifest. Those people that are creating and pushing things out and making money hand over fist and it just comes easy. Those people that are doing crazy things with their bodies and diving and sports and all that stuff, like that is the physical realm, right? And yet all of those people, they could learn a little bit more about how to manifest, how to fit into ease, how to not work so hard, how to have more time, how to expand their time, how to enjoy more, right? And the people that are out there enjoying all day, manifesting left and right, like playing with the stars and everything, and thinking that they're above everything, are above everything, but only from a perspective, right? They need to come down a little bit and fall in love with their human walk, this human existence of, oh, I can manifest, I can feel pleasure. A lot of people that are over spiritual don't know how to have amazing orgasms. They're missing out on this like massive thing of creation, of feeling that creative mode because they're not embodied. And when we find that place where we can fully be embodied, fully love money, fully love the vibration of it, that's when things click.
Yes, I love that. I really do. And so when we talk about the energetics of money, you mentioned something that's a trigger. A lot of our community, maybe in the spiritual or awakening community, if we tend to kind of go down the conspiracy route, of course, the conspiracy route is an entryway into higher consciousness or an awareness, right? That's like an entry level that we do graduate from because we can understand how we feed our energy into it or not. And you said that money allows you to pay taxes. And so I love that right now because for anybody who's got a resistance to that, it's just a reality right here on this planet at this time that we have to contend with. So pay your taxes, everyone, and do it with joy, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about some money games. There's things that we can shift our energy around by playing some games or the way that we release our money. And so one of the fun things that I've noticed is when we start to tip, like you said, to use money in a powerful way. So one way is to what we call love bombs, a money bomb of love. If you were to give a $20 bill or a $10 bill to someone who is not expecting it, watch what happens when they receive that. That's a powerful tool. So talk a little bit about that. If you were to give a $20 bill to, let's say, a cleaning woman in a hotel who didn't expect that, who probably, if you're in another country like Mexico, that could be a big chunk of change. But that energy right there on both ends is huge. That's why we call it a love bomb.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just sharing the other day how I love walking into a store with my tithe and just like handing it to whoever's there. So one of the cool things is that giving to receive, but oftentimes, and I don't know why I'm called to say this right now, but it's definitely coming through. Like oftentimes there is this like, well, we're going to give to the needy, right? We're going to give to the needy, which is beautiful and wonderful. Nothing wrong with giving to the needy. But what if you just gave? What if you just gave abundance to anybody that spiritually fed you? So
with no judgment.
With no judgment. They could be super wealthy. They could be super poor. It doesn't matter. Anywhere that you're spiritually fed. So Carolyn Potter, The Law of Prosperity, love the book. She shared this with me and it shifted everything for me. So with love bombs, I love that you call them that. Now you take some money, you take your tithe, you take whatever, and wherever you're spiritually fed, and you just feed back. So it's not giving to the needy. It's not giving to an organization necessarily. It's not giving to a church or some place like that necessarily. It's giving to a person that spiritually feeds you, where you can give that gratitude. Another great game to play is the gratitude game. Just writing down like what you're grateful for each and every day. Writing down the game, like I have my manifesting jar of what I manifested that day to the tiniest things, right? And also writing down what you want to manifest. So this is playing with the spiritual realm. The other part of that, right? So we have our spiritual realm. What do you want to manifest? What did you manifest? Meaning surprises, gifts, things that just show up in your life. Like, oh my gosh, I got a new computer, right? Oh my gosh, I just did that, right? So that was huge for me this last week. Wrote it down. Well, the other thing is like, what am I creating? Right? So those are your goals, your aspirations, your action. So you're coming from here and here. These are your manifesting things, what you're manifesting. Then what are your desires? I have 2 books. I have a whole bunch of them on my YouTube channel. You can see it, but I have books like this. And I have one for desires and goals, aspirations, and I have one for manifesting specifically, because they're 2 different energies. But I want to feed both of those energies. I want to manifest, which is me asking God, asking creation to just supply, right? Supply and ease, and there it is. The other is, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to believe in what I'm going to manifest? And what am I going to give to the world in order to manifest? How am I going to show up? What do I desire? Who do I desire to be? And the other piece of that is our gratitude for all of it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Cool. Because that's an energy field where there's no doubt, there's no lack. It is pure connection, and it is soul alignment. Yeah. And it's the physical heaven on earth. It's the generating heaven on earth from that desire. Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say here about, a common question that comes up on this program is that people are like, okay, I've tried it all. I really have tried it all. I've got my goals, I've got my desires, but I'm just not seeing it manifest. What would you suggest for someone to do in that situation? What are some steps for them to take to drill down and get to the bottom of that?
So for me, I'll tell you what's for me, and we'll lean into it together. Okay. So for me, I'm a creator. Okay. My learning, I'm here to learn how to be in the physical. I know that because my abuse as a child was more physical than emotional. Adult wise, I did my stint with emotional abuse, but as a child, my beginning learning was get into your body, pay attention to your body. Can you be in your body? Why aren't you in your body? And I just wanted to hang that up here. So looking at that, I learned how to create things. I learned how to be really sporty and good with my body and dancing and controlling and everything and be in my body. I did good at school. And therefore my abuse ended early at 13, right? And my world began to shift. So that's looking at that money pattern. So first look at like your beginning 12 years, like what is your learning style? What are you here to learn? Are you here to learn because through trauma? Are you here to learn what the energetic world is, what your spiritual world is? Meaning that you're going to be learning about your emotional body and your etheric body. They're just brains. They're just bodies. They're not your etheric body, your psychic skills, your intuition, you seeing things, you looking through the ethers and being able to see energy waves and working with all of that and understanding waves and, friggin' cell phones, all that stuff. All of that is just energy. It's still your body. It's not spirit. It's not your soul. It's just a tool here on earth. So I really want to iterate that. So we have this body and we have our emotional body. Great. If this is what you're here to learn about, then you're going to go through emotional trauma as a kid. Bullying, people teasing you, being an outcast. That's going to be the majority of the trauma. You're not going to break many things or go through physical abuse, right? You're going to have like a narcissistic dad or mom or something like that. And it's going to be overrun by something else. Now, if you're here to learn about the physical body, and your power body would be this emotional realm, right? You're here to learn about how to work your brain and how to work your physical body, your physicality. Then you're going to go through some physical stuff. And you might have some beliefs thrown at you, like you're a worthless pile of shit or something like that, which might feel emotional, but it's really a belief system. It's a mentality. It's a thought pattern. You're poor, we're broke, we don't have enough money, we can't afford those shoes. That's a belief system, right? The other piece of that is if you were clumsy, broke things, were sexually abused. Sexually abuse is one that goes through all of it, but sexual abuse, but physical abuse, being hit, beat, all of that stuff by anybody, like all of that stuff, getting in a car accident is getting to get you to pay attention to your physical body. So usually the first 7 to 12 years, you'll look at that pattern and you'll see one of those two areas are a little bit more traumatic. Okay. From that place is where you can come back into this embodiment and say, well, where do I need to balance? Where do I need to balance now? And where can I manifest from? So for me, back to the topic, for me, I'm a creator. I learned really good how to be in the body and how to create things. So I've created programs and books and things and material stuff. Now it's intellectual stuff, but intellectual is mental, right? And it's online. And we'll share that in a bit. And it's there. Those were creations. What was I missing? I was missing my power body in it. I was missing the manifestation part of it. I was missing the lean back and trust part of it. I was missing it. Now I was getting those downloads, right? Because my power body is like, so I was downloading the programs and I'm saving lives, right? And I'm like, yes. But the abundance piece of it, I'm missing that lean back and trust piece. So if you're a creator, if that's like, where you're at and you've learned how to create from that place and you're pushing things out and you're you're busting out moves and you're like creating things and you're working with the physical, then where can you sit back more? Where can you relax more? Where can you trust more? Where can you lean into your ease and pleasure and joy?
The feminine side, really.
The feminine side. Yeah. So that's going to be your focus. Now, if you're the opposite, right? and you're manifesting all this stuff and you want to create, but you create things and it's like stale, like nothing happens. It's like, it's hard to get motivated. You don't want to, like, you want to write the book, but you just can't get the book done. You want to do the speech, but you just can't get the speech done. You want to put the program out, but you just can't get the program done. You want to, like, ugh. And yeah, you're still manifesting, you're helping people, like whatever, but it's very this energetic realm here. And you might have gone through some emotional abuse at the beginning of your life. And if you're awake, which I'm assuming everybody here is, if you're awake, then you probably healed that. So now it is something that you might do a little bit too much of, like my physical stuff. You might be like, I really have to pay attention to this body, so I'm going to stay here, because it's so easy for you to manifest physically. So you're doing all this spiritual bypassing stuff, and you're out here and everything is physical, and you might even have some mental, emotional blocks to getting into that. Like, I don't like money. Money doesn't make me feel good. Money is dirty, right? They feel like belief systems, but really they're emotional triggers, right? They're spiritual bypass. Well, I'm just going to manifest it to me. But you want to leave a legacy in this world, and you can't create anything to leave. It's like, you just can't motivate yourself to create anything. That's when you're just going to pay a little bit more attention to that physical realm, and you're going to get into action. You need to get into action. You need to force yourself to bypass the sit back and relax and manifest, and actually get something done, which means hiring a coach, hiring somebody to help you do that. Now, you can also hire a coach and hire somebody to help you do the other, right? Cut the ties, eliminate the belief systems, and relax a little bit. This one, you're going to get into action, get that motivation, and do what you're here to do. You might have all the downloads in the world, but you can't get anything done. Does that make sense? Yeah. So figure out where you are in that spectrum and create your balance. Either way, it's going to be some work.
It's work. Life is here to be enjoyed, and we play with it. And we can call it work, but let's just call it play with it. It's heart play. And, listening to you there, I see I'm a little bit of both. And so for all of those out there who are trying to manifest or who have the downloads but don't see it happen, I see that we can move in and out of all of these areas at different times. Like, absolutely. It's not just one way or the other, but I think
that's why I have two books. You're always wanting, once you have the wisdom, now that you've listened to this, and all of y'all you can't undo wisdom, right? You can't undo knowledge. So if this is sinking in for you, if it's aligning for you, it's about creating that balance. How do you do that? You pay attention to each of your 6 personal power zones. And you get into the 7th power zone, that heart center, right? That soul calling. And so you're going to align there. How do you do that? I know.
Yay. And we're going to talk about that right now. You've mentioned a couple of times the 6 power zones, and there's actually 7, which is the heart center that we are. But go over those, because you have a coaching program. You have an online program that people can use at their own pace, at their own level, at their own time. And I want you to share about that, but talk first about the power zones. What are those?
So the power zones are what your soul has to play with here on earth. And this is the places that you get to master here on earth. This is the place where when you go to earth school, you get these tools and they're yours. Nobody can take them away from you. Even if you're locked up in solitary confinement, even if you're a sex slave, nobody can take them away from you. They're yours to manage and experience how you experience. Now, you might have to reframe it if you're in one of those horrible situations, right? Because Earth can be a rough school. And but the relationship is always going to be there. The relationship between you and these aspects of self are constantly there. So they also resonate with the chakra system, with the chakras, and they resonate with that higher living and all spiritual aspects. So the first is your physical body. You have a body that is uniquely programmed for you. You have unique thumbprint. You have unique eyes. You are unique. Only you can write the blueprint on your body. I have downloaded the opportunity to help people do this for themselves. So part of the program, the Amazing You online program and offline, is to look at, well, here's my body. And not from a perspective of fixing it, but the perspective of understanding it and getting curious about it. So there's that. Then you have this brain. You have this brain, this mind, this belief systems. Part of it is downloaded into you, right? You come into your family and you're like, oh, wow, right? You come into your culture, you come into your life and you're like, oh, well, I agree. No, wait a minute, right? We get to be teenagers and adults and we're like, whoa, maybe I don't agree with that. So it's about learning how your brain works. We have different ailments. We have anxiety, we have depression, we have PTSD, we have different ailments. Our brain can be sick sometimes. How do you work with your own sick brain? You know, not everybody's brain is sick, but most of us, unfortunately, have something that is a limiting belief, right? Something that is dragging us down. How do you work with the brain? How do you become the brain's master rather than the brain being your master? Because your brain runs your body, right? Your body is your subconscious, unconscious brain. Is your unconscious mind, formed before you're 7. Your brain then becomes your subconscious for the most part. And then you have your frontal lobe, which is your conscious brain. How do you train your frontal lobe to reprogram the rest of it? So you are 43, but don't look it. Right? This is how you do it. So I had to learn how to reprogram my brain because my brain had a lot of negative self-talk, a lot of negative stuff in there, a lot of contradictory belief systems that were very confusing. And so I help you figure out where your brain is, how do you reprogram it, and then I teach you techniques to reprogram your brain using tons of techniques. Then the next is your emotional body. You have emotional intelligence. Whether you're in touch with your emotional intelligence or not, who knows? But you uniquely feel things and you uniquely understand things. And it is you and you only. So I have a program where you walk through each and every one of emotions, states of being, which is an emotion attached to a belief system, as well as an action, right? Because your emotions have actions. So you can see how you feel. And we decipher your blueprint, your emotional blueprint in this training. The next piece is your etheric realm. So I called it the soul realm for a long time, but this is so not the soul realm. This is the psychic realm of existence. This still has black and white. It still has dark places. It still has ickiness. It still has fear attached to it. There's, attachments. There can be demonic attachments. It can get really screwed up here because it's not visible, right? And so we clear that. We get to know it. We clear it. We align it so you can bypass that and heal on the soul level. So then we have the soul level, and we get into that awareness of who you are. Where's your soul calling? Where's your connection to heaven on earth? Where's your connection to heaven? Where's your connection to earth? How do you live in that balance? And we utilize universal law to figure out who you are. From there, it is about showing up and doing the work. So we talk about your power zone of relationship. Who are you? Because most of us, at first, we wear 1,000 hats, right? And then we die. We die from cancer. We mentally get tired. We physically get tired. We emotionally get tired. We energetically get tired from being empaths, right? And then we're out. We're out. We literally cannot live in our house. The house is too dirty. So this way, you're going to clean all that out in this program. And then you go, now who am I? Who am I? How do I want to show up? What does that look like? And it's always evolving, always changing. That's life. That's the beauty of life. You're not going to arrive ever. You're going to be always, right? And the last is your soul calling. Is your soul calling. We're here to leave a legacy. It's going to take humanity to lift humanity, right? We're all light workers. We're here to leave that legacy of light worker. And each and every one of us is a crucial puzzle piece to New Earth. And for me personally, I'm here to evaluate and lift New Earth, which means the program of abuse and accepting abuse and suffering has to shift.
I just got chills on that, Lisha. That is beautiful. And it's really empowering to know, how are we going to show up? What legacy are we here to leave? That is very empowering. And for those who dare enough to go into it and to work with that, it is beautiful. And it is New Earth. And it's how we create New Earth.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Okay. So you've got the program. Tell us a little bit more about that. It's 12 weeks?
It's 12 weeks or 12 sections.
12 sessions.
So we have each section has a whole bunch to it. I started creating it in 2007. It started off as a yoga program. So in the Amazing You program, you get 7 different elements of different types of yoga. If you don't like it, it's okay, because I have workout programs. I have workout stuff to go with it. Because not everybody wanted to do yoga in my world. And
but it's the physical part.
But it's the physical part. It's the action part that you can control yourself, right? That you can control yourself. And it comes with a workbook and all this stuff. For the first 2 weeks, we focus on how do you take care of your temple. And I go over not how to, right? I'm not going to tell you in the program how to take care of your temple. I am a nutritionalist. I'm licensed, all that stuff, but I'm not going to tell you how to eat. Hell no. That was like the worst thing that ever happened to me. You get to tell you how to eat. And so this program walks you through you deciding your own blueprint on how to take care of your body. So you get pleasure.
Yes.
And really, 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 so you get pleasure and nutrients, and you feel good about who you are. I come from a background of body dysmorphia as well as bulimia. And so I was like, and then I have celiacs on top of that. To fall in love with who I am and how I look has been a huge journey. And so I put all of that into that section so you can just jump through it. That's
with no judgment. There's a calmness that we have with ourselves in this journey, to not feel bad if you want to have a cookie or a muffin.
Exactly. Right.
But to tune in so much. Right.
Right. I mean, when I eat sugar and sweets now, it's like,
you can tell.
I can tell. And when I go past and I'm eating too much, I can feel it. And that's not self-love anymore. Right. So I have to admit that to myself and keep myself in check. It's my responsibility to take care of my body, not my dietitian's.
Yes.
So I created that. So that's 2 weeks. You'll do that. And then you'll learn about the 6 layers within the body zone. And some of them might be different than what you think. So it just happened to work out this way. There's 6 layers in each one of them. It goes with like the Star of David. It's friggin' crazy. I don't even know how that happened, but over the years, it's the blueprint. So you'll go through those 6 layers and you'll analyze them within yourself. And people come back to this program over and over and over again. Every time I upgrade it, you'll get lifetime support with it. And like I said, it's been around since 2007. So over 12 years now, and you're just going to continue getting to it. It's pretty much done now, but we'll see. You know, I never know when I'm going to learn something else and go, oh, there's a piece that's missing. So you get the body section. Mindset, same thing. You have a piece for the yoga and the action, as well as the slow lifting and stuff like that you can substitute for it. And I explain the mind, there's some education there. And then we go into the mind and the layers of the mind and how to understand your mind and how to start really pulling out stuff of your mind. We get into EFT and NLP and all this stuff that I've studied, because being a mindset coach was something really, really important to me, because I knew how important the mind was. But it wasn't my end all. None of it's been my end all. But I got a lot of certifications. The next piece is your emotional body. And the emotional body, like I said, there's a whole blueprint, a huge workbook. It's quite a bit of work. You can spend a month on your emotional intelligence and just mapping out how you feel, who you feel, where you are. And therefore, you can utilize those other tools of your empathicness and your awareness to relate to people where they're at. So you really get to show up for your relationships even better after the emotional intelligence. But I studied with all of the workings of David Hawking. So I do a lot of that emotional kinesiology, a lot of that stuff like there, and the Parker method, and I combine them together to create your own university's methodology of emotional intelligence. And I put together a program for BP and leadership and management. So it's, this program not only will help you with your emotional intelligence and knowing yourself, but it'll help you be a better leader, a better, just for later, a better human. Right?
Yes.
So we got that. And then we have the soul realm, but we really talk about the difference between the soul and your psychic skills, your empathic skills, your relationship to your spirit, meditation. How do you utilize energy? How do you manipulate the energy around you so you can be fully human? How can you work with that? So Reiki and things like that are really there. We do a more dance in this realm to just get into that groove in your field, so you're managing your own energy system. We talk a lot about the chakras in this realm as our action, and more of that quiet time. So this is a huge realm for manifesting, a huge realm of intelligence for people, and we spend 2 weeks there. The next is relationship. And in relationship, we do all six zones of relationship. We work the entire realm of who you are into those relationships. You quit having to put on 1,000 hats and being energy drained and not having any energy and being tired when you go to bed and all this stuff. And you learn how to fill yourself up. Does that mean that you're not going to feel tired when you go to bed? No, there's going to be moments where you totally overrun yourself, but you're going to be able to own those moments and be like, I did that. I crossed my own line. Again, noticing where we step out into imbalance is huge, and being able to quickly forgive ourselves for that and know exactly what our blueprint needs to give out. So you'll know your blueprint when you come out of this. And the last is your purpose, right? And your purpose truly is to be you. So what does that mean? Where's your heart calling you? Where did your mom, dad, brother, sister, the world say this is what you need to do? And where do you really know you need to do? And can you trust that? And what does that look like to walk out? So in the online program, you're going to get the layers and the support and the workbook and all this stuff for that, and a lifetime membership. Normally it's $497. For your community, it's going to be $197 today.
That is so... That's beautiful. Thank you, Lisha. It is so well-rounded. That's what I love about this program. It's not just one aspect, but it's all of these aspects. And the physical, I mean, that's beautiful. And the mindset and the etheric and the emotional. And of course, the relationships. And then the who am I? What's the purpose? And the soul calling. I love it. And I thank you for creating that. What I love about it is you got the download for this. You got the download, right? It came to you, and then you took the action, and you do it in service to bring on new earth. And I love that, because all of us, no matter what stage we're at, we can all use a little outside help, a little mentoring. I said earlier that sometimes I feel, right, it's no problem manifesting for me or creating for me. And then another time I get a lot of downloads. And I know this is common among those who are on this journey. When we take the time and make that most important appointment of every day is to sit in our space with ourselves, in our energy, and to receive those downloads. I mean, there's journals and journals and journals of downloads, but what you help with is taking those downloads and allowing someone the space to create those action steps to actually bring that forth on this planet. So it's full encompassing the work that you do and this course that you've developed for people. And I absolutely love it, because that's empowering for all of those who are ready for it. And it's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to get it, because it shifts things, and it's online. So you can go through it at your own pace. Some people do one a month. Some people do run through it. It's up to you. And then if you need support, I'm always here.
Yes, beautiful support. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Lisha Antiqua, for this beautiful quantum conversation. It's very empowering. Your special offer is available on this webpage, and we invite our community to check it out and to do that work. It is so beautiful. We are here to bring heaven on earth, and we are here to leave a legacy. I know there are some who say, what is my legacy? And if all it is a legacy of love in the relationships that you cultivate, that's enough. In the love that you bring forward, in bringing heaven on earth, that is miraculous in more ways than we can even see in this moment. And it's quite beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Lisha, I want to give you a moment to say goodbye to our beautiful community with some empowering words that you share.
I just want to thank you for being you. Like, I want to thank you for being you, for doing this program, for holding this space for our community. I know what that is, for you to call in your tribe and to hold that space. And I just want to thank you for doing that. And everybody listening and being in this beautiful quantum space, I want to thank you for showing up, because that allows all of us to grow. And we're growing here together, and we're listening together. And what truly matters is that you just receive this. I want to invite you to just take a breath and receive this, listen to it again and again. We went through so much information that you can integrate into your life and analyze and learn from and discover who you are, minus all of the trauma and drama and everything else around you, so you can truly create the life that you are designed for, meaning having all the money and all the worthiness in the world, because you not only do you deserve it. Deserve is like this kind of work thing, but you are created for an abundant, wealthy, amazing life that you receive and you give. There's that balance.
Yes. The beautiful balance of masculine and feminine, creating, giving, and receiving. So beautiful. Lisha, thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been a beautiful quantum conversation. And again, for those who are ready, willing to step forward and make that difference, it is here with you and for you with Lisha Antiqua's beautiful Amazing You program. And we were talking before the show as well that everything is upgrading. We're feeling that this year. It's an amazing, empowering year. We're feeling it in our appliances, in our cars, in our computers, in our relationships, in our software programs, and our processes. And so what a beautiful time to upgrade ourselves and go for it. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I cannot wait to meet all of you. Talk to you soon.
Again, Lisha's special offer is available on this webpage, and it's at acoustichealth.com/special offers. I want to thank you for watching and sharing your heart and shining your light, bringing heaven on earth. Thank you.